Family, what a week. Welcome to Recovering
Loud
with Al and Eric. My name's Eric. I'm somebody in long-term recovery.
And I'm Al. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic.
We have missed you guys, first and foremost. We did take a week off, and we're going to kind of explain the growing pains of a podcast, if you will.
We didn't technically take a week off, though.
Well, we didn't take a week off. We were kind of forced to pause.
Yeah.
We were forced to practice
the pause.
Right. So we do have a speaker lined up, great recovery coach. Do not want to say his name yet because it is a surprise. We had recorded a full episode, and it was great. The issue was we were doing it in a room that had cinder blocks for walls.
Felt like a prison.
So the echo killed that podcast, and it stinks because
it was a really good one.
It was a really good one.
In there. Yeah, there
Absolutely.
Was. Here, I'll hold that for you, man.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You betcha.
We're also doing something different today. We're actually doing a podcast while we're doing self-care. We're just driving around, listening to music.
Being dudes,
right?
On a Friday night. What else would we be doing, right? I mean,
being dudes.
You know?
Right?
On the street corner doing drugs back in the day.
Right.
Selling our body for some score, you know?
Yeah, I used to sell plasma. Did you ever do that?
No, but sperm and blood for sure.
Yeah,
not mixed together, obviously.
No,
but,
mine's too valuable. I'm not going to give that away.
Yeah, no, I definitely used to be a donor just to get booze.
Right.
I actually have done that. Not kidding.
It's your pathway, and what you choose to do with it is up to you. But we kind of wanted to talk about what happened last week. So we had a meeting set up with this great recovery coach. We were talking. Everything was great. We almost released the video anyway. We actually posted it, but
for like 3 minutes.
For like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And then when all three of us you couldn't really understand because it was so echoey.
Yeah, it was so bad. I think it would have gotten muddled and nobody would have heard us. And
Right.
It was a unanimous decision to kind of scrap it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we worked. I feel like we did the work for the last week, but didn't have anything to show for it.
Right. Like I know we tried to kind of fix that, but the technical advances, if Tony Stark was here, he'd have been able to take care of it, you know.
Obviously.
But, Tony's dead. I mean, he's gone. I miss him.
And that is, if we relate that to recovery, the little mishap, I mean, we didn't drink or use over it.
No, not at all.
It was a learning curve. And that is what recovery is always going to be, is you're always learning and you're always leveling up. I mean, that's what we were kind of talking about before we hit the record button.
Right. Like, I feel like, just talking personally about me, I will never be recovered. I will always be someone in recovery. And I feel like I got my master's degree in addiction, my PhD, personal history degree, and I have an ever-growing knowledge of addiction and recovery. Because, it dwells in all of us. Like, we have that demon inside of us, and it's how we treat ourselves that day will make the difference on the scale tipping or not, Like, there's definitely work that goes into it, whether you're doing different pathways. There's a program for a reason,
I feel like I'm cured.
You're definitely not, but
keep coming back, they'll say.
It works if you work it, right?
I'm cured for today.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I'm not going to drink today, and, tomorrow I don't know about, but...
Like, that was the one thing that really, I guess, shocked me, was how long 24 hours in a day really is.
My gosh, yes.
And I really felt it when I was trying to stop using on my own. An hour felt like an entire day. And, like, I remember looking at the clock and looking back and looking at the clock, and it's like...
10 hours was a decade.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. But what I found was when I entered recovery, the program kept me busy. Helped me learn new ways to cope with certain feelings, to cope with being back in an environment with a lot of people, right? And that's why I feel like people that have an addiction and are in recovery are blessed. It's not a curse, because we have those coping skills. When things are going bad around us, we know how to deal with it. And a part of me feels, I don't want to say bad, but sad for the individuals that have not learned the coping skills, because they really do.
They haven't tapped into their superpowers yet.
No,
and that's what people in recovery are. They are warriors.
Right?
They really are.
So we have a great new coordinator named Justine. She went up to the Chippewa And she told me a story that gave me goosebumps. She says, when somebody up there relapses, it's called warrior down.
Oh,
it's called
that
warrior
just gave me chills.
down.
I like it. I like that.
And like that statement alone, right, shows perception is reality. Because some people shame it, like there was a comment made a while back by a guy saying, well, that's what you get for relapse and you should be homeless and this and that. And me and him, we had a back and forth about it because, that's not what you get because it's a disease. I mean, and when it comes back and we just deal with it.
Basically, the using symptoms have returned.
Right.
It's kind of like if cancer were to return. We don't shame that person.
Exactly.
That's why they call cancer a relapse.
Right.
If it happens.
Right. And spontaneous remission with cancer, we have spontaneous recovery.
Yeah.
Where people don't feel the withdrawals, where they can just stop and move on with their life.
That would have been lovely. I would have just loved that life.
That would have saved a lot of pain, but I feel like I would be not as smart as I am now.
Just spontaneously, all better one day.
Right.
No hangovers.
The problem with that is I would have took that and ran with it and did more.
Yeah.
I can handle it,
It probably would have helped me get back out into the research part of using,
Sure.
As far as, it's just so easy to get clean, and it really was not. And some people do have an easy road, I would say some people would say that I had an easy road because I just naturally took to it.
So chemically, I feel like I had an easy road because the methadone really helped the cravings. It really helped keep my mind center. But I would say the counseling was where I hurt the most. And what was cool about it, not back then, of course, I didn't think it was cool. But what was cool about it was I was in a safe environment where the answers were there, and my counselor actually had me find the answers by talking through questions. He's retiring, dude.
Yeah, it's been a big deal for you.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's been my counselor for 7 years. Even when I was in Arizona, me and him were still in contact. And, I'm going to miss him. I mean, how do you thank someone that came into your darkness and taught you how to paint your own picture? I mean, a thank you just doesn't say it. I mean,
well, I think the way he put it was probably the most poetic, as far as there are now people in your life that you are helping because of your recovery that feel the same way about you. I think that's very true. There's people that now look to you as you're the pinnacle of being, and the knowledge and the wealth that you have as far as recovery capital. They look to you the same way that you look at your counselor, which I think that's it coming full circle. That's really paying it forward, like you were in the darkness and you were able to get out.
Right.
And now you reach your hand back into the darkness to pull other people out. And that right there is paying it forward a million times to your counselor, because your counselor is probably responsible for saving thousands of lives.
I have no doubt about it.
And by the end of your career, you're going to have touched thousands of lives. In fact, I think we're going to reach more because we do this podcast.
Right.
Because I do those videos because we actually out loud advocate for recovery. And I think that's kind of a new thing in recovery. It's not new, but it's new enough. I mean, AA, let's be honest, Alcoholics Anonymous, the other word is anonymous. And I think that anonymity cloak is really something that we need to break down.
I agree. I feel like staying silent now does more harm. It's for our detriment, not for our betterment. Mm-hmm. And especially with, there was a lot of funding put towards Michigan Works. Now we have life coaches out there. People that are in recovery that are now life coaches for an organization like Michigan Works. Amazing. We got funding for so much stuff, and we're trying to reach the masses. I think the difference is up here, everything is so spread out. So there's only so much we can do in a small period of time. But, in 2017, when I took the training, there was nothing, right? So you're looking at, 5 years?
It's almost like it blows up every day.
Imagine what it'll be 5 years from now.
Right.
There will be recovery coaches in hospitals. It will probably
employed by hospitals.
Right. And I feel like that's one of the hurdles that every organization is trying, and some actually achieved. There's a program in Alpena that actually is in the hospitals, and they have recovery coaches in Munson, Traverse City that are employed to help people. And it's like that in itself just shows that other organizations, big people with big money, see there's a problem, and they implement this new unknown position.
Well, I think they have to kind of understand that some of their employees, we're talking about big corporations, seeing their employees having addiction problems. Now that it's been classified as a disease, of course, when somebody goes to treatment and they still are employed, that employer is probably still paying them, or some form of insurance is still doing something for that person. And seeing how often it happens, these corporations are going to pull back and they're going to go, wow, there really is something under here, and there is a way out.
Right.
And people, and I don't think people understand that the way out really is it's through it. Yeah.
Like, for every dollar that's invested in recovery, there's a $7 return. Whether it's someone like you or me buying a house, paying taxes, donating
opening
our time,
up a recovery house,
opening up, and is it an instant investment or is it an instant return? No, it's not, right? But over time,
I mean, it's better than the U.S. government,
right?
Oh, did he just go there? Mic
drop, right? right. I personally want to thank Families Against Narcotics, because what they gave me when they employed me, and I don't think I've ever said this out loud, they've allowed me to just be me and it be more than good enough. Like in every other job I had to fit into a mold. In certain relationships, I had to fit into a mold. And this is the first time in my life where being me is more than good enough, and it feels so good to have something to offer based on past trauma and
experience,
quote unquote bad deeds, if you want to do that, because I wasn't a nice person back then. You know what I mean? I don't think any of us were really nice people back then. Like, that's what I mean when I say that demon still dwells.
I was a sweetheart.
You know, I don't believe that.
Until I started drinking.
Right. I mean, duh. You know? But for me, that organization, I mean, along with others like Nemesis, I mean, they trained over 500 coaches to date since it started. Over 500 coaches have come and gone through the Nemesis training.
30 of them were in the last class.
Dude, 30 of them. That's happening tomorrow, too.
That's a big chunk of people.
Dude, over Zoom, that's crazy. Like even in person. Like, I think our class had probably 16 people. Mm-hmm. And that was the class that, like, Laura was in. That's when, like, I really started to get close to Wally. It was Tori's first class. Mm-hmm. That he had done. I mean, like, he always brings the Kind bars, the granola bars, you know, and it's just like, you know, I always look forward to the granola bars, you know.
We didn't get that via Zoom.
No, man, you should have shipped them to us. Tori, you're slipping, bro.
Right.
We need some.
I mean, I got
bars.
The pipe cleaners, and I didn't know what to do with them.
Right,
so.
Come on, dude. We need the granola bars, you know.
The protein shakes.
The protein
all
shakes,
of it.
Yes.
It's so important.
It absolutely is, man. But
actually, you know, that is kind of funny. Protein shakes have actually become part of my recovery, and I don't mean that as like recovery from alcohol and drugs. I mean, because I started living healthier and working out.
Absolutely.
Like I do. I use those protein shakes. They're pretty delicious, actually, to give myself some more protein. I mean, it's what my body needs. I'm breaking down muscles. So recovery is, if people could understand that we need to break down the barrier of stigma, guilt, and shame, and stop judging someone for having a different looking path than their own, I think we would realize that basically everybody on the planet could be in some form of recovery, and we would all get along. There is a way to unite us, and I think it's through recovery. I really do believe that if people looked at trauma, sex abuse, alcohol, gambling, drug addiction, anything that you need to recover from, if you say you're in recovery, then you are part of the club. You don't have to suffer more than the guy next to you to wear the T-shirt and be in recovery.
Right.
I think that's where the passion for me comes from to talk about this stuff, because the veil of shame and anonymity, as I would say it is called, is really it's a thing of the past. You know,
Right.
there's no need with all the social media, with everybody having a nice camera on their phone, by the way.
Right.
Okay, it's not hard to get good photos anymore.
Right.
It's really hard to be like, oh, well,